Hello, today we're going to do a quick overview of our library databases. We're not going to go over all of them, but I will focus on just a few of them that would be helpful to you in this class. And I'll also show you how to pull some citations, whether it be MLA or APA, from those sources. So what you want to do is go to www.mecc.edu. And if you scroll down on the page, you will see a link that says library. So that's what I'm going to click on. You could have also just gone to this URL, so mecc.edu/library, or you could have just Googled MECC library in order to get to this page. So once here, you have quite a few options, and many of these resources will be very helpful to you as you do research throughout this course. So the one that I'm going to focus on first is this link that says A to Z databases. So a database is essentially a collection of articles, books, etc. So the database kind of acts as a doorway to all of those resources. So when I click on that, you'll notice that the college subscribes to a lot of databases. So each of these contains a lot of articles, videos, books, etc. that you could use within your research. So again, I'm not going to focus on all of them, but I will focus on a few, and you are welcome. And I highly encourage you to click on this and kind of play with each of these links to see what you can find, because depending on what you're writing about and the type of essay you're writing, some databases may be a little bit more helpful than others. The first one I'm going to click on is this academic search. This is a really good database. What you'll find, though, is a lot of information on here can sometimes be very technical. So if you look up your topic and say you look up the common cold and it's got highly technical studies, it's difficult to read, and you find a source like that, I may find a different source either on this database or somewhere else, because you do want to make sure that everything you find is something that will be usable to you. By the same token, there are a lot of good usable things on here, so you kind of just have to read through to see. So we're going to pretend I'm writing about the common cold. So I'm just going to type in my search term. I'm going to keep it simple and just use my term, but if I wanted it to tell me something about the common cold and symptoms, I could do that. But I'm just going to look up the common cold in general. Some notes, I would make sure down here, click full text. If you do not, you're going to have some results that are just abstracts of articles. An abstract is kind of like a summary of the article, and you can't use or cite that. So you do want to make sure you could get to the full article or full text of whatever it is you're finding. And there are some other options here too. So you can limit your search by publication date. So if you are looking up something on a disease, of course, you wouldn't want to use something from the 1970s. You want something more recent. So if that's the case, you could limit that here. You can also look it up by publication type, etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to limit it by full text and hit search. And it works just like any other database, a lot like Google. So you're going to get some results here. And you'll notice on the left, I can also limit it. So if I decide at this point, I want to limit it to stuff published in the last, let's say since 2006, it will update and only give me articles that were published within that time period. So what you have here again are your article titles, and I'm going to click just on this first one. This is what it will look like when you pull up a result. So what I would recommend doing is, if you find one you like, click on it and read the abstract. Read through it, and that's kind of like reading the blurb on the back of the book. It might be a little hint as to whether this is something you can use. If it's not, what you'd want to do is just hit back and find something else maybe you could use. But let's pretend I've read through this and it is something that will be usable to me. What I want to do is, again, always as I find sources, I save the source and I do my works cited entry, or when we get to APA, your reference entry for that source. If there's a PDF full text option available, choose PDF, because that's like they scanned the copy. HTML, someone typed it in. So if there's an option for PDF, always choose it. So I'm going to click on the full text of the article on the left, and it will give me the article. So there you can read through it, decide what you can and can't use from your essay, etc. But what I want to do is, again, save or print it, which I can do from here. So if I want to save it, I can hit that download button. If I want to print it, I can hit the print button. And to cite it, this is the really cool thing about these EBSCOhost databases. We have one for ebooks too. It's called EBSCOhost eBooks, and it looks just the same. So when you cite either on this one or the ebooks one, on the right side, you'll see a little yellow sheet of paper. You can click that, scroll down if you're using MLA to MLA, and you can just copy that citation and put it on your works cited page. Of course, always check your citation against your textbook to make sure it's correct. Sometimes there are issues. So sometimes it may be punctuated wrong, or they may have left something out or put something extra in. So check that. But there's your citation. And of course, if you were doing APA, you could find that up here too. Or for another class, let's say sometime you had to write with a different format, you've got a lot of them over here. But again, in this class, we're focusing on MLA, and we'll do APA a little bit later on. And there is that source. So after this, you could go back, and if you wanted to find another one on this database, you could, or if you wanted to search another database, find a web source, go to the library and find a physical book, you could do that. So that is how to use Academic Search Complete. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to this A to Z databases page on our library page. I'm not going to click on all of them, but most of them function the same. You click on the database, search for what you're looking for. There's always going to be a button that says cite, or sometimes it will be like a set of quote marks you can click on and pull a citation. So from here, I'm just going to go over some of the ones that would be most useful. This America's Historical Newspapers is one that I've had a lot of students have success with. So for instance, in the past, I've had students write reports on historical events. So you are able to find newspapers from when those events were actually taking place. And those can be really good just to kind of give a glimpse at what was going on at the time, what people were thinking, what was the perception. There are also history in video, etc. Just to scroll down a little bit further, again, I'm just focusing on the ones that are a little bit more widely used. This EBSCOhost eBooks is really good. For my class, I do count eBooks just as regular books. I view them the same. So if you would like a book or an ebook, you can click on here. There's also an English 111, 112 LibGuide. Now, what this is, it is a list of the databases we use most in English 111 and 112. So you can click through there. On here, Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center is very helpful. I'll click on it because a lot of people use it. So I'm going to do the Common Cold. And you're going to notice it divides up your results into academic journals and different types of materials, reference, etc. So I'm going to click on just that first one, which it happened to bring up the same article I just found. And sometimes it can take just a second, so we'll let that article load. The main reason I wanted to click on this database is because when you pull up articles, they will look just a touch different. So you won't have a PDF copy of it. Instead, it's an HTML where it's been typed in. But again, it does function similarly. So there are quote marks up here that say cite. So if I want to use that, I make sure to click on the formatting method I need and copy and paste it onto my works cited page. And if I want to save that, I can hit download here, or I could on my computer hit Control P and hit print as PDF or save as PDF and save it on my flash drive or computer that way. And again, always as you do research, print or save your sources. That way, when you go to write your paper, you have that source available. You don't have to go do your research all over again. So that was one of the big sources on the LibGuide. To scroll down a little bit further, there are quite a few others. Opposing Viewpoints appears here as well. And there's also Oxford eBooks in case you wanted a different selection of eBooks than EBSCOhost has. And you can see down here, there are quite a few that you can just read through. If you use Statista for statistics, be aware it does often prompt you to upgrade an account, so sometimes that's not the best one to use. So those are all of our library databases. So very quickly, what I'll also do is show you how to do more refined Google searches. So if you are on Google, what you can do is you can use what are called Boolean operators to help limit your searches. So if I look for the common cold, I'm going to get a lot of results. So that's how many results I have. That's a lot. Now be careful as you search the web. It's okay to use websites. That's noted in our textbook within the section on credible sources, but just make sure to check them for credibility. So you don't want to use Wikipedia, you don't want to use blogs, you don't want to use debate.org or procon.org, but you can definitely use websites. But if you want to kind of whittle down what you're finding, you can do so. So let's say I just want .gov websites. What I can do is hit site:/gov, and you'll notice my number of results significantly went down. So that's going to limit it to just Gov websites. So if I wanted a government report on the common cold, this would be a good way to limit it. By the same token, let's say I only want it to pull up, for some reason, PDFs. I could do file type : PDF, and it's only going to give me PDFs, and I can combine those. So let's say I want something on the common cold that's a PDF from a government website. It really limited those. So you can use these limiters. And if you don't want to sit and memorize those, what you can do is Google advanced search. And you can limit them that way, and it kind of puts it into words. So when you narrow it, you can narrow it by, as it says here, edu or something of that nature. Are you required to use these Boolean operators and limiters? No, but oftentimes it can be helpful when you're doing research. Like with anything else in this class, if you have any questions about databases, performing online research, anything of that nature, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I would also highly encourage you to take advantage of our on-campus library. We have amazing library staff who are more than willing to help you find any type of sources that you need. So if you stop by during their business hours, which are can be found on the Wampler Library page, if you stop by, they are more than willing to help you out, and we have a lot of great resources available there. I wish you well on research. Again, if you have questions, let me know, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day.